Hello and welcome to a webinar about typography on the web. I'm Tom.
And I'm Selma.
And we will...
Welcome to a webinar about...
Oops, a bit of a sound feedback there. So we're going to talk about how you make text and typography on the web and how you make it look really good.
Yeah.
But first of all, we're going to start with a little presentation about what Weld is about. So hang on a second. All right.
Yeah. So what Tom just said, and yeah, we're live on YouTube. So if you have any questions, just comment in the comment section because I will sit by the computer a bit later. And if you have any questions after the webinar, just email us on tom@weld.io or sam@weld.io.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is the agenda for today. We're going to talk about typography in Weld, responsive text and animated text. And yeah, Weld is a web designing tool, as we say it. And it's just like working in PowerPoint or Keynote. It's quite easy. And yeah. And Weld is also responsive to all devices. You can have it on a TV screen, your phone screen, iPad, or computer.
Even a watch.
Yeah, in a watch.
Yeah.
It's responsive, and it integrates in all CMS systems also. Yeah. And you can also embed your content on your current website, like Indiska, for example. They have this. You see the red box. That's Weld content, but the rest is Indiska's own content.
So if they're using a web platform such as WordPress or AppServer or something, they can just embed Weld content inside.
Exactly. So yeah.
Okay.
I give it to Tom.
Yeah, demo time. That's my favorite. So I'm gonna jump straight into the Weld tool. So just 1 second.
Should I go and answer questions?
Why not? Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So you can jump on there. So I'm starting up the Weld tool. So Weld runs in your browser. And I think I'm going to pick a template just for this demo. Put sort of the typography bit in that context. You could also start with a blank project as a blank canvas, but I think for this example, it's better with a live, more realistic example. So here's a landing page template built in Weld. You can of course build smaller web campaigns and stuff like that as well in Weld, but this is a complete landing page. But the topic today is typography, so that's what we're going to look at. So this is the Weld Editor. It looks a bit like PowerPoint, as Selma said. Up here you have a toolbar. You can create text objects, images, boxes and rectangles. There's an insert menu where you can insert different widgets such as maps or Instagram feeds or whatever. So basically, if I want to create a text object, I select the text object button here in the toolbar, and then I click or drag a box on the canvas. And I'm going to type. Here is some text. So as you can see, when you create a text object, it has a bounding box, and you can make it bigger or smaller by dragging in its handles. And it's quite important to understand how the bounding box works, because it can actually clip your text if the bounding box is too small. So if I make it like this, it will actually hide some of the text. And that could be good to know, especially when we move into responsive design for phones and tablets and so on. But now I selected the text object, and then on the right side I have a panel for formatting. You can open and close it with this little arrow. From here it's very simple to change font size, for instance. I just drag in this slider, changing the colors, with the text. You can of course make it bold or italic, underlined, uppercase only. You can change text alignment like left, center, and right. So that's all the basic formatting. And then under the menu advanced text options, you have more advanced typography settings like line spacing. I'm going to make some more text just so you can see the effect like this. So here's some text in a long sentence. Okay, because now we're going to use that and we're going to see the difference between line spacing, for instance, where you can change like this, but you also have paragraph spacing, which is the spacing between different paragraphs. So you can set them individually to fit your needs. We also have letter spacing or kerning, where you can make the text very tight or more loose, like this. And finally, you have font weight. So everything from a very light font up to extra bold. And it's good to know actually that all these sliders, some of them are quite sensitive, especially like letter spacing and so on. All these sliders can be changed numerically as well. So you can just, as you're hovering over the value, you can move your cursor into the little text box above, and I can type in whatever letter spacing or line spacing or font size I want. So that's pretty handy. The last option down here is called SEO Tag, and it's for search engines. From here I can set set an object to be an H1 as a header 1 on the page, or a header 2, header 3, and so on. This is very useful for Google and other search engines. They will look at the content that you create, look at what text is headline, and make that more significant in text. So if you put your important keywords and so on and make that into a header, an H1 or H2, Google will see that that text is actually very significant for your page or content. It has no visual difference. It's just a semantic difference for Google. So visually it looks exactly the same. If I want to add more fonts, I have a drop down here with the fonts that are currently in use in the project. The font list is stored inside the project, so if you want to reuse the same fonts over and over, you can either duplicate a project, you can create a template that where you have defined your font list, or you can, if you're an enterprise customer, you can set up your team and team settings, which includes fonts and colors and stuff like that. And from here you have a list of the fonts in the project. I can also add more fonts, and we are using the Google font library, which has currently about 800 fonts. And I can browse by just clicking on names here and see different fonts. We have grouping by popular, headlines, and body text. We have just a selection of popular fonts in those categories. And you can of course search. If you want to find serif fonts, for instance, you can search for serif. If you want to find sans serif fonts like Helvetica and so on, you can search for sans, and so on. Maybe a script font, etc. And once you've found a font that you like, you can hover over it for some more information. You see here that the Allegria sans font has 14 variations of the font, including different font weights. You see the little gray dot with the number 14 in the corner, whereas the Black Hand Sans only has one version. So I'm going to take the Averia Sans Libre and add that to my project. I click Add Font, and it's now blue, and the Remove Font button appears instead. So I can remove the font by clicking on this red button here, or I can also remove fonts from this list where I can just press the little trash can and that's removed. It's actually a good idea to clean up your font list. If you're not using all the fonts here, they could make the project longer to load because the font files are still referenced. So it could be a good idea to clean up this list to make sure you have the fonts that you actually are using. But now I can click on Averia Song to select it, and I can see how the different font weights look. So you have some bold and some medium version and a light version. If you're an enterprise customer, you might want to use your own custom fonts that you have bought in another library, or maybe you have a font that you have designed yourself. That can also be added to Weld, but you have to contact the help desk to make that happen. And to contact the help desk with fonts or with any question, basically you find it under the help menu and chat with support. So I'm now also going to talk about linking. You can link text to other websites, to other pages within your Weld project, to an email address and so on. And you find that under the link menu. So if you select the text object and click link, you can then select like an external website. I'm going to link it to weld.io. And you see the little link icon turns blue to indicate that the object has a link compared to this other text that doesn't have a link. You see it's blue, and it's now linked. So if I preview this and click on it, I'm taken to the link. I'm going back to edit mode. You can also link individual words in a text object. So first of all, I'm going to remove the link I had on the entire block. And so like that, the blue link is gone. Instead, I'm going to just select 2 words here. I'm going to actually make the background another color because it gets a bit difficult to see what's going on now. So I make it dark gray like that. And now let's see again. So now I select 2 words here, and then I do this exactly the same on the link menu, external website, typing in weld.io. And now you can see it's underlined. Only those words are linked and will take you to the website you link to. Going back to edit mode. And you can of course link to not only websites, but you can link to an external website, what I just did, link to an email address or phone number. You can link to a page within your project, or you can link to a scroll point, which is if you want a long page that can scroll up and down, you can link to a scroll point object and make the page scroll up and down. And you'll find the scroll point on the insert menu under here. So we're now going to talk about responsive text. And Weld is of course designed to be responsive and handle different screen sizes really well. So for this project I have 2 layouts, a desktop layout and a phone layout, and we do have a separate video tutorial on our YouTube channel about how you would design responsively. So check that out. I'm not gonna explain all the concepts now. I'm just gonna start working responsively. So be sure to check that out if you want to learn more about how you work in responsive design. But basically I can switch here between desktop and phone. And as you can see, the most of the design transferred well to the phone layout, but the new text I created doesn't look that nice on the phone. So it looks like this on desktop and like this on the phone. And here, when I'm in the phone layout, I can then restyle it. I can make the text box larger. I can also make the font smaller. I could even hide the object entirely if I wanted to. But for now, I'm just gonna make it smaller and move it down a bit. So now it looks like this on the desktop and like this on a phone. And again, here the bounding box of the object comes into play. So be sure to look at your text in all the layouts that you have created, because sometimes text can be clipped in a smaller layout, even though you didn't intend it to happen. So for instance, if this object would be like this, it would clip the last line, last row of text. You can also animate text, which is quite fun. And we have powerful animation tools. We actually have a separate YouTube tutorial on that too, so you can check that out. But there's some simple stuff you can do to make text more powerful. For instance, if we toggle on the simple animation tool down here with the arrows, I get 3 green buttons which says that says normal, mouse over, and click. So for instance, I can now select mouse over and maybe change the font weight to a bolder version of the font. And just to make the effect more clear, I will make it thinner in the normal version. So let's see what happens now when I hover over this text. Now you can see that the text actually goes bolder as I hover with mouse over. So you can use that, or you can use maybe kerning or letter spacing for powerful effects. So for this smaller text, I will increase the letter spacing, like so. And when we preview this, so you have the text sort of extends, spaces out a bit when I hover over. And you can, instead of using the hover event, you can also use it click when it's pressed down. So if you want to have a button that lights up when it's pressed down, you can use the same effect. But if you want to dive deeper into animation and interactivity in Weld, be sure to check out the other YouTube video about that. And I think that is all the basics around text that you need to know in Weld. So just to conclude, Salma, if you want to join me.
Of course.
I can tell you that if you go to weld.io/learn, you can find videos, you can find tutorials and more information about text in Weld. As Selma said, if you have any questions, contact us, Tom@Weld.io and
Selma@Weld.io. Yeah.
So thank you very much for today, and hope to see you soon.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.